Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and with me as always, the Stream King, the Far Cry guy, the man who may cry devil, and the man who lived for 7 days, Steven.
It wasn't 7 days. You clearly didn't watch the stream. It wasn't 7 days.
But it's 7 days to die, but you lived for 7 days?
I've actually lived for like 44 days, which, you know, is pretty impressive.
Is it though?
Not really.
Is it?
How many days have you lived? You don't know off the top of your head.
As a matter of fact, I've lived. Give me a second.
Wrong.
Hey Siri. Hey Siri. What? Hang on. Let me pull up my calculator here, Steven. I can't do math. Let's see. 365 times. Something number. I have lived 10,220 days, Steven. Give or take.
Wow, it only took 10,422 days to get that response because you didn't know it off the top of your head.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chortle Cast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We got a great show for you this week. A lot of fun, a lot of big news this week. Really just one big news that has a lot of repercussions from that news. But Xbox, we're going to talk about the Series S and the Series X and the release dates and prices and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity announcement. And then we're going to go back over the second, is this the second Ubisoft Forward? Yeah. We're going to go over the second Ubisoft Forward and take a look at the announcements they did there and discuss all of those things. Are you ready, Steven?
There will probably be a very disappointing amount of discussion on the Ubi Forward because it was a very disappointing forward.
Well, do you want to start there? Do you want to just jump in right there? Let's just start right there.
Sure, let's start there. Yeah, right. Why not?
Ubisoft had the second forward. Okay, there you go. Let's move on.
More like the Ubisoft backward. Thank you. Subscribe.
Wow.
Like, share.
Steven's full of hot takes today. All right. I won't even go into the hot takes before the podcast, but so Ubisoft had its second forward. I've got a list, but I don't have the order. I think they did Immortals Phoenix Rising, which is the newly renamed Gods and Monsters. They showed a trailer and they ended up showing some gameplay after the show of that. What are your thoughts on that one, Steven?
It's really funny how much Ubisoft wanted Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, to be The Witcher. Mm-hmm. And now they really want this game. This game wants to be Breath of the Wild so bad. You know, it's really sad to watch.
It is really kind of funny because in a lot of ways, Breath of the Wild took some elements that we see in a lot of Ubisoft games, like the towers and, you know, that sort of stuff. They kind of borrowed some of those elements and kind of Nintendo-fied them. And now Ubisoft is trying to Ubisoft-ify a Breath of the Wild game.
That's because Ubisoft at one point was the innovator. They kind of pushed the open world mechanic into the mainstream, into a commonality. They kind of mainstreamed it, made it very efficient. And now Ubisoft, for whatever reason, I guess they're out of original ideas. They've spent the past few years just trying to do what everyone else is doing so much to where they have lapped that whole circle of ripping off. So they more so rip themselves off more than anything by just making the same game every single time they make a game. In case you can't tell, I hate this game. I will always see Immortals, Phoenix, Origins, Rising, whatever it's called.
I'm just going to call it killer.
Yeah, I'm just going to call it the buzzword game. Because this is one of the games, this and Skull and Bones, this is one of the games that killed Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed was literally sacrificed to make Odyssey, which Odyssey existed solely to see if they could justify a Greek mythology RPG. And now here we are, and it looks like garbage.
Yeah.
Honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't. I obviously I love Breath of the Wild, and I like Breath of the Wild style games. The problem with this, watching the gameplay, I don't know. It obviously is trying to be Breath of the Wild, and I don't think that is a bad thing to try and be. But it almost looks like a mobile game version of.
It's the art style that is the most off-putting part of it. Is that the art style just looks ugly.
Well, and yeah, I don't know. And then it's got kind of I've said this before, like a Roman or a Greek mythology like coat of paint on it, and I'm just not the biggest Greek mythology fan. So like,
it's funny because like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we've pointed to, and I think on a stream we talked about Genshin Impact, which is another Breath of the Wild kind of imitating game that is ironically going to be on mobile. It's going to be free to play. I'm more excited about that, but I don't know. So I don't know what it is, but that has like an anime coat of paint to it, which I like more. So I don't know. I can't figure out why I can't pinpoint what I don't like about it. But I'm just not. I didn't love the gameplay. The trailer made me think, okay, I'll give this a shot. I couldn't watch more than 5 minutes of the gameplay.
And I say all this, I'm probably going to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I have you play Plus. Why wouldn't I play it?
Mm-hmm.
Although I think it's getting close to time to not have you play Plus anymore. Literally the only reason I have it now is so I can be in the Division PTS whenever those happen.
Right.
And because when Watch Dogs Legion comes out, I'm probably going to play it on PC first.
Mm-hmm.
Unless have they announced a smart delivery system for Watch Dogs to where if you have it on current gen, you get it on next gen for free?
Yes.
Okay. So never mind. I might just get it on PlayStation then, but I'm probably going to play it if I still have Uplay Plus by then. And I might play it a good bit, but just like with pretty much any other Ubisoft RPG of late, so by that I mean the Assassin's Creed games that have no personality, I put them down and never come back to them because the experience is just so watered down at this point,
right?
That it's like it's just the worst version of something else that already exists,
right?
The worst version of something else that already exists. And that's kind of the problem with Ubi right now is that they just won't have an original thought. And I don't know, like, cause I even said before, when talking about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, a Greek mythology RPG is so smart. I mean, look at the way Hades does it. And Hades does it as a roguelike to where the different gods are the source of your different powers. And so like Demeter is ice and protection, I think. No, that's Athena. But like Zeus is lightning. That's a good one, Zeus. And so you can like get these different powers that are based on the different gods. That's such a smart, easy to do concept. So if they're given full reign to make that into an RPG, then you can really just embrace that mythical aspect and make it feel like a big fantasy realm kind of game. But for whatever reason, Immortals, Phoenix, whatever, it just looks bad. Like I didn't even watch much gameplay, but what I did was just like, it was kind of like with you. I couldn't watch that much. I saw what I saw and I was just like, I'm not excited for this whatsoever. It doesn't look like the worst game I've ever seen. No, of course not. But it just looks so bland.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Disappointing, but not surprising.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still confused on the name change though. Gods and Monsters was a great name. I don't understand.
It was a fantastic name.
Way better than Immortals Phoenix Rising at the very least, but whatever.
There's probably a legality thing.
Oh, you think so?
That's usually what it is.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know the order of anything, but I'm just going to go down the list of things I have. They announced the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. They showed off a good bit of gameplay. They showed off different the mocap that they've been doing for the game. Showed some different graphics and stuff. Was there anything? I don't see anything here. It doesn't look like they added anything new. It's just been a complete from the ground up remake. Yeah,
that sounds right.
Did you play any of the Prince of Persia of this, did you play this game, Steven? I got into the Prince of Persia really late.
I played, I think the first one a decent amount, and then I think I played Warrior Within, which was the one where you had like the whip chain, you had the dark side and the regular side.
That's the only one I've ever played.
Yeah. Prince of Persia was pretty great for its time. But if you're going to bring Prince of Persia to 2020, 2021, whenever it's going to come out, in my opinion, it's going to take more than just showing us what we've already done, because it's probably remembered so fondly, mainly because like when people think of Prince of Persia, they think of the Sands of Time. They think of like falling off a cliff, then rewinding time and watching it go backwards, like really cool mechanic. That's not as impressive anymore. Right. Like we've seen bigger, we've seen better. So like to bring Prince of Persia to modern gaming, it just seems to me like they should not have started with a remake. They should have reinvented. Yeah. But I mean, hey, I could be proven wrong. I'm excited that Prince of Persia is not gone, because it was a cool series. But I don't know.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're testing the water, and a remake was easier to pitch than a new game in the series. So maybe this could lead to something.
But the worry is, for me at least, like if you put the wrong foot forward, who's to guarantee that you'll get a second step? Yeah, absolutely. And so I just want to make sure that Prince of Persia is given that proper chance to come back.
Speaking of things coming back, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game is back. Steven, yes, Scott Pilgrim is one of your favorite movies of all time.
It is my favorite movie.
What are you excited that the game is coming back? There's going to be all the DLC characters and all this.
So there's more to this story than just, there's the Scott Pilgrim versus the World game is coming to current gen. There's more to it, because in addition to that, Scott Pilgrim versus the World 10 years ago, the game came out on like Xbox Arcade, PSN, all that kind of stuff. And it's like a side scrolling beat 'em up that's based on the comic. Right. That was just a ton of fun. A few years after that, it got removed from all stores. You could not buy it. So ever since it got removed, people have not been able to play it unless they like had it downloaded on their system. So it got like erased. So this isn't just Scott Pilgrim is coming to current gen. This is Scott Pilgrim is back, like period. He's back. And I'm so excited. I don't care if it's a graphical update or not. I just want to play this game again. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to stream it with Anna. We're going to have a great time. I'm excited.
It looks really fun. So
it's a lot of fun.
It's going to be great. That's a good announcement. They closed out the show. This isn't all the news. There's still more. But again, I'm just going down the list. But I do remember this was the last. This was their one more thing announcement. Riders Republic, which was a new massive multiplayer sports game where you can travel across the U.S. and partake in a series of extreme sports like downhill biking, snowboarding, and more. So it and maybe I didn't watch all of this because as soon as it started, I was like, nope, not interested, and fast forwarded a little bit. But it looks and sounds to me like Steep 2.0 with
that's exactly what it is.
A Rage coat of paint.
That's Rage?
Yeah, just from the colors, the neons, you know.
Okay, yeah. That's exactly what it is. It's Steep 2.0, but the biggest shock to me is that Steep apparently did well enough to where it warranted a 2.0. I don't know a single person that played Steep for more than 2 minutes. So that was surprising to me.
Yeah, it was an interesting. Last, one more thing, you know.
Steep was a one more thing when it was announced.
Really?
Yeah, that's what to me harkened to the end of the Ubisoft mic drops, because that was they haven't really done one that was like Watch Dogs or Division level ever since then.
Gotcha. Well, who knows? There was a bunch of stuff about Rainbow Six Siege. They talked about their tournament that they've got going. They showed off the Rainbow Six Siege Sam Fisher trailer, showing him as the new operator. What did you think about that, Steven?
It pissed me
Rainbow
off.
Six guy. It pissed you off.
It pissed me off. Sam has no business being in Siege. That's not where he belongs. Sam belongs in Splinter Cell. And if Ubisoft would have any kind of, I don't know why I'm heated today, guys. I haven't had a bad day.
Steven has a lot of hot takes.
But if Ubisoft had any semblance of self-awareness whatsoever, they would realize that they are just pissing people off every time they put Sam in another game, because they keep putting him in like Ghost Recon. They put him in Siege. They put him in something else. I can't remember what, but like they just keep throwing him in these games where it's just like, oh, he was in Far Cry. Like Sam wasn't in Far Cry, but Splinter Cell was. Like he was mentioned of all places. Like why? And it's just pissing people off, because that'd be like taking, what's a good example for this, Steven? That'd be like taking Geralt and putting him in a golf game and refusing to come out with another Witcher.
3, yeah. Wait,
like
Witcher 4.
Witcher 4, yeah. Like it's not that extreme, obviously, but like same concept, to where it's like Siege is not a stealth game at all. So putting Sam in there is like, here's a better example. It's like putting Geralt in Soul Calibur constantly and then not coming out with The Witcher 4. That's a better one. It's just not the same. And it's them totally acknowledging like, hey, we're going to benefit off this character, but we're not going to give you this character in his actual form. And just the trailer, I hate Siege. I'm just going to say it. I know like that's an unpopular opinion. But we've already talked about how I'm salty at Immortals Rising Revengeance, that I'm just going to keep adding words to it. Yes. We've already talked about how I get really salty at that game because it killed Assassin's Creed, which even though Origins was, I can't say Origins killed Assassin's Creed, because Origins actually held a lot of its DNA. So yeah, the Odyssey killed Assassin's Creed. Let's just say that. But Siege killed Rainbow Six, because Siege is not Rainbow Six. I don't care who you are. If you were telling yourself that Siege is a proper Rainbow Six game compared to what the IP has been up to that point, you are wrong. It is not. It is glorified Counter-Strike. It is Ubisoft desperately trying to get in on the competitive gaming scene. And you know what? For what it is, Siege works. It is really good at what it does, but what it does is not Rainbow Six. And so like, to me, they just keep mishandling Rainbow Six, because like there was that whole season in Siege where it was like a tournament where it was like where they were actually in the stadium and everything, and it was just like, wow, you could not be more disingenuous about trying to show all of the esports gamers out there, trying to make them feel like they're like more important than they actually are. That's a hot take. But that's what they're doing with Sam. It's like, oh, Siege is actually just 6 training. And so we're going to bring Sam in to train them more. And it has no identity now. Rainbow Six has been completely lost in the weeds that is them trying to make an esport. And I'm pissed off about it, because the closest thing that we've been teased at, which notice that this was not at the forward, Rainbow Six Quarantine, a game that completely misses the mark of why people who don't like Siege don't like Siege. Rainbow Six Quarantine is an apparently zombie Rainbow Six game that is a co-op experience. You have Siege for your PvP and you have Quarantine for your PvE. That is a quote from them for like your co-op gameplay stuff, but it's zombies. And so it's just like, oh, okay, so Rainbow Six is actually dead. Got it. But what's funny is that Quarantine, I said this at the last forward. I said, I bet you Quarantine has pretty much been canceled at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
it's going to undergo a name change at the very least.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be probably called Outbreak.
That would be better.
Yeah. But I know that was like, hey, Steven, how do you feel about Sam? And then I breathe heavily and it's like, oh no, Steven's about to,
well,
like you know that I'm about to go on it, but
I hate that they've changed the game so much for you, but I think it is definitely you be seeing a trend, even if it is a loud minority, and is trying to capitalize off of that and
right. And I have no problem with that. I have no problem with them taking a concept that is really big and saying like, we need to capitalize on this and we can do it well because Siege does competitive PvP really well. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Like it's good at that, and we know that they can do this because Tom Clancy's The Division was not based on a Tom Clancy novel, but it has the markings of Tom Clancy on it.
Right.
So they made The Division because they wanted to capitalize on the coming age of MMO lights, and they did a really good job with that. It was a new IP that didn't sacrifice an existing one so it could exist. Why didn't they do that with Siege? And because Rainbow Six was going to live on in a game called Patriots, which sounded amazing. I'm not going to go into details on Patriots right now. Ask me on Discord if you want to. We have Discord, join it. Ask me over there about it sometime because it was a fascinating concept that was very campaign focused and was all about showing multiple perspectives. The perspectives of the CT unit, the perspective of the terrorists themselves, and the perspectives of the victims. The people caught in the middle, the civilians with the bomb strapped to their chest. That like you played as all of those people. That sounded amazing. And that's what Rainbow Six was going to be next. And then they dropped it for Siege. So like, why not just do both? Make a new IP for your PvP stuff and then give us Rainbow Six in the vein that which it currently exists. I'm just tired of Ubisoft sacrificing good IPs for
new ideas,
for cash grab, for not even new ideas, for plagiarism.
Okay, so let's get to some of the rest of these. I totally missed this. They announced the next season of For Honor. It's called Resistance. They showed a trailer, and that's coming out on September 17th, so that's fun.
Good on them for keeping For Honor alive, because they said that they hit their like 2 million player mark, I think.
Yeah.
That's surprising me because again, I haven't heard of anyone who's played For Honor, but they've really been keeping to it with updates and stuff, and so that's commendable.
4 years strong. So
yeah, good on them.
They showed some Just Dance 2021. They did a Far Cry VR. Far Cry is getting a VR treatment in 2021 with Far Cry VR. Dive into the insanity. It's going to be based on the events of Far Cry 3, and it will be available at the zero latency VR facilities. So stuff like Void and some other places that we've seen around, Steven. So that's what you were telling me about on the podcast or on the live stream a few days ago.
Yeah, it's an actual like free roaming VR experience. It sounds awesome.
That does sound really cool.
To base it on Far Cry 3, good job. Good job recognizing that Far Cry 3 is the best that Far Cry's ever been.
Very nice. I also missed this. Ubisoft announced a new space exploration VR game, appropriately named A Game of Space. Not a lot of details. Yeah, I guess so. I completely missed this, but not a lot of details were given. But it looks like it's going to be an immersive space adventure. So there you go. They announced Monster Prom 2, Monster Camp. So if you're a Monster Prom fan, there you go. Ghost Recon Breakpoint Red Patriot. It's a new expansion coming to Breakpoint.
I want to like Breakpoint so bad.
Yeah.
And here's another Ubisoft sacrificing the lamb story. Ghost Recon was not always open world. It never needed to be. Then Wildlands comes along and makes an open world Ghost Recon game that was pretty fun, but underutilized in unique concepts. And then they make Breakpoint. And they're like, you know what would be great? Grand Theft Auto with loot in on an island. And we're like, no, please don't. And they're like, we did. So that's Breakpoint. It's I've tried it like 3 times and I want to like it so bad. But the fact is, the only person that I've gotten to play with me more than like 15 minutes at a time is Jeremy. And like, I think he and I are both just kind of like feeling like we force ourselves to play it. I think he liked it a little bit more than I did, which is good, because that means if I ever do get the itch, he'll probably be willing to play it. But it's just, I'm surprised that they're still updating it. I think this is the last update they're going to give it, though, because no one likes it. Like people are playing it, but like people that I've heard talk about, because I watched some videos of some people who play it and keep up with it and everything. And they were just like, yeah, this is stupid. This isn't what we wanted. And it's like, gosh, that really sucks. It's like the game is in active development. And I hate that because, again, Ghost Recon is one of those IPs that I'm very passionate about. That was one of my favorite shooters in high school. So I just hate to see it fail.
Well, maybe this will be it, and they'll hit the drawing boards again after that.
Let's hope so.
Then they also announced the crew to The Chase Season 1. So a new season of content coming to the crew. So there you go. It's adding a cops and robbers style chase mode. So there you go.
I caught a little bit of that and it looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
I never know what to think of the crew when I see it.
Yeah.
I'm just not a racing game person, but
I guess I skipped over this part. I don't know how, but when I closed this article, I saw the photo again, which made me remember. They also showed a new trailer for Watch Dogs.
They did.
The new trailer looked great. And then at the end, they were like, oh, yeah, we've got another announcement. And they showed and announced that Aiden Pierce is going to be one of the characters you can play in the game. He'll be part of the post-launch season, which is a little disappointing because that means you can't just start the game out with Aiden. So you'll have to wait and get Aiden. But I would assume at this point that Marcus is probably coming. I would think Wrench is going to come to be a playable character. T-Bone, maybe.
T-Bone I could totally see, but would Marcus fit? Like, would he care?
Absolutely. Because as much as we talk about how we liked Aiden better, I've watched 100 other podcasts where they said, I can't believe they announced Aiden. Why didn't they announce Marcus? Marcus was so much better or something. So I just, once they showed Aiden as a post, especially it being post-launch, it's like, yep, nope, okay, yep, Marcus will probably be in it. Like, they'll probably make a lot of characters who we've seen in the past playable.
So that presents kind of a question. The trailer that they showed. One, I'm so excited that Aiden is going to be in this game. I think it's great. I think that if they announced Marcus, that would have just frustrated me because based on what I know of the characters, it's not about like which character is better, which Aiden is better, fight me. But to me, it's which character fits better in that premise. Yes. And to me, I think Aiden is much more at home in the concept of a surveillance state London.
Yes.
And so I'm glad that they chose him first at the very least.
Yeah. And I think they chose him first because he's one, he's Watch Dogs 1. So he'll probably come. Marcus will probably be close behind. And
I would love to see T-Bone. T-Bone would be great.
I think T-Bone would be great.
He's a shoe-in.
Yeah. He's already been in both games. So he's not so much a shoe-in. Right.
Was he in Watch Dogs 2? Did you just say?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I was about to say, it doesn't seem like his character to leave Chicago.
Well, he was in, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy.
It probably was because, well, you know how I feel about Watch Dogs 2. But the question that it raises, in my opinion, well, not in my opinion, but like based on like what I was hearing, they mentioned in this trailer that there are like legendary recruits, like the beekeeper.
The beekeeper lady, yeah.
So maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts. But does that mean that there are recruits that are just out there where it's like, I'm going to find these legendary recruits and try to use just these legendary recruits, or is recruiting someone off the street going to be as likely to find someone as good as a legendary recruit? Because like my understanding is that like using Aiden as an example of a legendary recruit, he is someone that only one of him exists in London.
Right.
So if there are those characters where there's only one of their kind, in your opinion, does that like take away the incentive to recruit around in favor of just like being like, I want all these legendary characters, to where the gimmick of recruit anybody stops mattering?
The gimmick of recruit anybody stops mattering because you're going to go after the legendary people.
Right. Exclusively the legendary, like designed to be a specific way, like the Beekeeper or Aiden. Mm-hmm. Like, do you see that being an issue to where maybe people will be like, why would I want to recruit this person on the street when I know that I can get this legendary person with a better version of that at this point?
Well, I don't think...
I can't decide.
Did they confirm that Aiden is a legendary recruit?
I would assume he'd have to be, because there can't be multiple versions of Aiden Pierce.
Well, I don't think when you say legendary recruit and when they talked about it, I thought they meant the like the Beekeeper. And the Beekeeper, sure, right. There's not another crazy scientist Beekeeper who can control bees. Like there's not going to be any other one of her, but like obviously you'll have multiple different cops who aren't the same people, but they're cops that you can recruit.
But like I guess my question goes into the line of like, what if there is a legendary cop? Like what if there is a cop out there that even though only one of him exists, he ends up being like the best version of a police character that you could get in case you would need a police character?
I don't think there will be a thing like that. Okay. I think they're going to lean more towards the Beekeeper style people.
So just really unique, wacky out there kind of one-offs.
Really unique people who can only do the thing that they do.
Like not a unique version of a very practically useful quirk.
Right. Like I don't think there's going to be a legendary construction person who can do more than what a normal construction worker person can do. But I could be wrong. I don't know. This is one of the things that has been that I really am going to have to see how the game works, and I'm going to have somebody like break down how it all works. And they kind of talked about it in this trailer because it was funny. While I was watching it, I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to pick what character I'm going to want to play as, because not everyone's going to come with some sort of intrinsic perk. But like, what if I want to have a spider drone? Well, they talked about how as you unlock things, you'll be able to equip your teams with certain things. Right. And like they kind of showed a panel of all these different things. So I'm like, if I can get a construction worker who his intrinsic perk is to summon a construction drone, but I could equip him with a spider drone as well instead of his wrench. Like if I can start to mix and match plates, that might be more interesting.
That's my understanding, is that characters will have perks and quirks to where like they'll each have like some positives and negatives, like the hitman with the hiccups. I thought that was hilarious. Did you see that part?
I did. That was great.
Oh man. Yeah. There was a hitman trying to be stealthy and he had the hiccups, and so he got caught. So there's an actual quirk where your character can be prone to the hiccups. And so you don't want to take that person on a stealth mission because they could just randomly have hiccups and then you're spotted, which I thought that was funny. But my understanding is that there will be some like quirks, like some positives, some negatives, and then there will be like a unique ability. Yeah. Or a unique gadget or something. Like there may be like a British spy that has a spy car, or a getaway driver that has a special car, but you can still equip them with like you were saying, the spider drone, their weapons, stuff like that. Now, what I'm curious with, I think kind of what you were alluding to is, are spider drones a possible like character tool. So like are tools that I can equip to anybody, are those possibly the intrinsic quality of a character? So I could double up like a spider drone and a construction drone, or a spider drone and a shock hack or something like that.
Right.
Or if the intrinsic stuff can only be acquired through intrinsics. That's one of the questions I would have.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, to answer your original question of do the legendaries make that, I mean, I would say yes. I would say, I think, well, I say yes, but also kind of no, because I think the legendaries are going to be so specialized that you're going to, at some point, you know, if you have all of these legendary people who can summon bees and can call in drone strikes, whatever they can do, at some point you're going to need somebody who can walk into the bank.
Jake,
you know,
I use bees, and that is what I do. I will solve the surveillance state of London with my bees, and they will call me queen.
And they will call me queen. I think at some point you're going to say, I need to get into this construction zone. Why don't I just recruit that guy and just recruit him and just run that one mission with him? And then he'll sit in your bunker for the rest of the game, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's Jeff. He's my construction guy."
I'm hoping
him.
There's some kind of growth potential with the characters. Like, I'm hoping that it's almost like the characters are a bit of an onion, to where you recruit a construction worker, and then as you play him, you find out that he's actually pretty good with computers too.
Right.
Like stuff like that, so that it gives you reason to keep playing characters so that you can see not only what they are inherently good at, but also what their potential is. That's kind of the big word for me in this game is I hope the characters have potentials to find.
Yeah.
Because that would hook me on this game so much, because I'm definitely going to be that person who spends like 40 minutes trying to recruit a specific person, and then I start playing that person, and then I see the better version of the person I just recruited, and I'm just like, I have to get them now. Like I'm totally gonna have recruiter's remorse, or whatever you want to call it.
Right. Well, see, that's what I'm definitely going to be going after the legendary people, and then I'll fill in any other needs.
But I want to recruit people off the street. I want to be able to have those moments to where I'm just kind of doing world activities, and I see this person sitting at the coffee shop, and they are the exact kind of hacker that I need, or something like that. I hope I find that, because that is such a cool gimmick for the game that I hope they force you to use, because I'm totally cool with the inclusion. Yes.
I want to issue a challenge to you.
Okay.
I want you to recruit the entire city of London.
That cannot be done.
How do you know?
Because I'm pretty sure. I know they said that, like, I heard somebody say that you could, in theory, recruit the entire city of London. I don't know if that was someone with Ubisoft or not, but surely there is not a finite number of people in London, because then in theory you could kill the entire city of London rather than recruit them. So as you recruit people, it probably fills the gaps with new people. Like, it's probably a infinitely replenishing source of bodies, to where I don't think you can actually recruit everyone, because it's always giving you more people to recruit or something like that. That's how open. If you could, then maybe, I don't know. I'll try.
That's my challenge. So you, Steven, I'd like it to be in your first impression stream. I want you to just immediately start recruiting every single person you see.
Oh, if it's anything like Spider-Man, I may spend the entire first impression stream just recruiting people, because with Spider-Man, when it came out, I spent the entire stream just finding Peter Parker's backpacks. Yeah. And I had a wonderful time.
It's all great. Great time. All right. Well, that's enough about the forward. Very exciting about Watch Dogs. Can't wait to see more. All right.
Was that really it? I mean, I know I said it was disappointing, but man.
I mean, we did spend 40 minutes on it. So I'd say.
But like 25 minutes of those were me complaining about Ubisoft as a company.
Well, speaking of things we can complain about, let's talk about Xbox and their leaked and then confirmed announcements. All right, I'm just going to say the news and then I'll give some commentary to it. So, Xbox Series S had been rumored, had been known. We knew about Lockhart, which was the code name for it. It got leaked late on, I want to say Monday night, this past Monday night, like at midnight. I remember Brody texted me and was like, well, there it is. And I was like, whoa, what? I need to be asleep. But anyway, it leaked, and then Xbox in a great twist, they put it out in a tweet of just like, well, let's just make it official. Here it is. And so they announced the Xbox Series S, and which is it's their smallest Xbox they've ever made. It's going to be less powerful than the Xbox Series X, obviously. But the biggest thing is they announced price and they announced release date. The Xbox Series X is going to be $500, so $499. The Xbox Series S is going to be $300, $299. Both of which are going to be launching on November 10th. So nothing, we kind of knew November. So November 10th is a good number. It's a good range. At least we have that number now. I'm not at all shocked at the Xbox Series X price point being $500, but the Series S being $300 is pretty good.
It worries me.
Why does it worry you?
It doesn't worry me because, I'm not going to buy one, but for a next-gen console, that is for them to say it's the smallest Xbox we've ever made and then discount it by almost half. It's right. Like, surely you're not getting something comparable to an actual next-gen console. That's just kind of my reaction.
I am not the most technical person, but they have released their specs. A lot of people are saying that this is going to be stronger than the PS5, which a lot of other people that I trust have come back and been like, these people are crazy. It is not. They're taking some things off base. To boil it down, because you can go find the specs and read through it yourself, but to boil it down, basically, they have the same CPU.
But it's the GPU that's different.
But actually, no, they have, the GPU, it's the same brand, but the X has 52 CUs at 1.825 GHZs. That's gigahertz, right?
Gigahertz, yeah.
Yeah, gigahertz. And then the S has 20 CUs at 1.565 gigahertz. The X has 12.15 teraflops. The S has 4 teraflops. Their system chip is the same. The S is running 10 gigs of RAM, while the X is running 16. The S will not run at 4K. The S is going to have a lot less internal storage. Obviously, they can both expand their storage. Backwards compatibility, it will have compatibility, but the thing that's come out now is it will not be running, let me make sure I get this wording right. It will not run Xbox One X enhanced versions of backwards compatible. So for backwards compatibility, it's not going to be as good as it is right now in this generation. Yeah. I understand your concerns, Steven, and I don't disagree with you. My stance on this is that if I was an Xbox guy and I've been waiting to hear that price and that release date so I can hit that sweet pre-order button. Pre-orders go up on the 22nd, by the way. I would be like, cool. Someone else can have the S. I need my X. You know what I mean? I was telling you and Brody and Miles all this. I ran my launch PS4 into the ground until it literally crapped out on me before I bought another PS4 or something. If it had made it to the launch of the PS5, I would have ridden my launch PS4 all the way home. Right. I don't know why, if you were going to get the next generation console, why you wouldn't get the biggest and best one that they have at that generation, because for me, I'm going to ride that version until we get to the PS6, you know?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know why, if I was getting only one system, why I would get the S. What I do think the S is a great pitch for is people like you and I, who we're Sony guys.
Ones who double dip.
Yeah, I'm a Sony guy. I'm getting the PS5, whatever it costs, whenever it comes. But I keep hearing about this Xbox Games Pass, and I keep hearing it's the best deal in gaming. And I keep thinking, man, I wish I had that. I wish I had something I could access on that. And sure, $300 is not cheap, but it's cheap enough to say, oh, okay, maybe this is worth getting into. But right. I keep going back and forth because, again, is it going to be, powerful enough to do and to keep up in the long run?
That's the thing. Like, that's such a niche group of people to like market an entire system option to. Not to say that there are those people who have a PS4 and want an Xbox or want to play Xbox games, but most of the people who have multiple systems right now would have a PS4 or Xbox One and a Switch. Most people who game enough to have 3 systems probably would just make a PC.
Right.
Most of them. And so for them to just give that option, I think that the reason that they did this is because it is the gateway drug for them. Like it is them knowing, like, I don't think they expect the Series S to be long term. I think they are expecting to get some opt-in so that people will buy the S, try Games Pass, fall in love with it, or play some Xbox games that they like enough to where they, like, someone finds their next series and it's a Microsoft exclusive. So that way they're trying to basically stay alive in the console game when they're on life support right now. Which it's a smart play to win the value war, because I mean, if you announce that kind of stuff first and you get people thinking, well, that's not that expensive, and you get them to at least own an Xbox, basically making yourself relevant, even if people normally would not listen to what you have to say. It's smart, but I don't know if people realize what they'd be getting themselves into, because I do not see this thing being justifiable as a next gen system. Yeah. Like it seems like it's going to be just enough.
Right. Exactly. And something else I was thinking about too is it could be a good option if maybe, this 2020 has been a rough year. You're not ready to financially to get a new console.
Right.
Maybe this gets you in and can coast you until they announce the Xbox Series X Pro or whatever that hubbubaloo Immortals Phoenix Rising name comes. Maybe at that point you'll be more financially stable, and then you can get the best of the best version of this generation.
It is them trying to get their foot in the door, literally jamming it in the crack of the door, so they can just be like, "Hey, I'm here. Just try it. Just try our system." So that people will try the system, and if enough people get it, like if you get more people, because ultimately the question or the question of what system do I get, the answer that is for most people proven to be more important than like exclusives is, where are my friends?
Right.
So if you get enough opt-in, then that strategy worked. And honestly, I can't knock them for this strategy, because it was the smartest play they could have done, short of, making games. But when I don't know what happened with their studios, I guess their games are they need some more time in the oven. But for them to stay alive and to release for the next generation effectively, they needed to find a reason to stay alive, and this was a This was a good approach.
Absolutely. One thing I was going to say was, as we transition into the next piece, it's funny. I do think this is the only way that we could have gotten to the point where people finally made announcements, right? Somebody leaked, and I guarantee you, I could almost guarantee you that somebody from Sony paid somebody a bunch of money to leak this information somehow. And obviously I have no information on that, but like this was the only way. The information leaking and literally forcing Xbox to just come out and confirm and set the record straight.
Yep.
This is the only way that this could have broken the ice. So
you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
But I personally think that if Sony had something to do with it, like personally, then they would have responded a lot quicker. They would have pulled a Epic Games with their 1984 video, and they would have had something prepared to immediately steal Microsoft's thunder. But you're absolutely right. Like, this was a game of, I call it retail chicken. Yep. Like, who's going to announce the price first? We all knew Microsoft was going to be the one that ended up having to break the ice.
Well, I hate it happened this way for them because they did, and this is what I'm getting to. Sony has announced that they will have a PS5 showcase on Wednesday. Yep. It is assumed at this point that they will be announcing price and release date, which at this point, if they don't, I think that would do more harm than anything.
Absolutely.
But I do kind of hate it for Xbox because they had to come out in a tweet, they had to just come out and say it, set the record straight quickly, and couldn't prepare.
Right.
Sony took their time. A lot of people were like, well, I guess we'll hear from Sony in a couple hours, blah, blah, blah. And Sony took their time. They've got a showcase put together. I assume we're going to see games. There's been rumors that there are there are rumors that there are PlayStation exclusives that have not been announced, have not been leaked, that are going to be announced at this thing. So it could be a banger show to then be like, oh yeah, and ours is this much, and it's coming out on this day.
It's coming next week.
God, that would be.
Can you imagine? Oh man, I would send Phil Spencer, I would send him a condolences card with a Reese's cup in it. I would write to him, sorry for your loss, here's a Reese's. But I mean, that's just how it is. In pretty much all cases of a dialogue, trying to have the upper hand in any case other than a PR situation, PR being getting ahead of a scandal. In a scandal situation, you want the first word.
Right.
But in pretty much any other situation, you want to speak second. You want the last word. And that is that's what Sony's been waiting on. We all knew it's kind of like a dick move from Sony because they know they can wait.
Right.
Because it's their fight to lose. Right. And so they did force Microsoft's hand, and I commend them for trying. But you got to get games at some point real soon. You got to get games on that system.
Yep. Especially depending on what PlayStation announces Wednesday. So that'll be exciting.
Yep.
Well, speaking of exciting announcements, Nintendo came out of nowhere this week. Actually, the same day that Xbox announced all this system stuff, Nintendo came out and freaking announced. All Numa came out, and I'm over here thinking, oh my God, we're getting Breath of the Wild 2 news. What is happening? And he said, you're gonna have to wait on that, but to hold you over, here's a new thing. And he showed Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. This is a new game, a canonical Legend of Zelda game set 100 years before Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's coming to Switch on November 20th of 2020. So this is a game by Koei Tecmo, who has made, how do you say it?
Koei? Them?
Koei Tecmo?
Something like that. Is it the guys that do all the
yes.
the Musu games?
They do all the Warrior games. They did the Fire Emblem Warriors. They did the past Hyrule Warriors game, which was really good. Brody and I had a great time with that one.
Yeah.
But this is an actual
it's canon.
Canonical game about the time period before Breath of the Wild. So the actual War of Calamity, where Calamity Ganon comes and all the heroes die.
And the good guys lose and everyone dies. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be great. So you're going to get to play as Link, Zelda, Mipha, Rivalier, Urbosa, and Daruk. There's dramatic cutscenes and everything. This looks amazing. And graphically, it looks just like Breath of the Wild, which obviously it should, but the fact that it looks so good and so much like it's not like an imitation of Breath of the Wild. At least it doesn't feel that way. It feels like they took the same game and just expanded it,
Yep.
I am really, really excited to hear more about this. And actually, we will be hearing more about it on September 26th. They're going to have some sort of announcement where they talk about, I don't know if there's going to be a direct that day or what. But
every single time Nintendo does this, I feel like I walk away with just, man, what an out of nowhere announcement. In a good way. And this is one of those things where it's man, they are so good at keeping secrets sometimes. And maybe it's just because there's so much hullabaloo going on with oh, you release the price. No, you release the price. And Nintendo's over here just scheming, making these concoctions in the lab.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't know if you knew this, but I love the Warriors games just in general. I really enjoyed Hyrule Warriors on the 3DS. Skull Kid was my main. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed Fire Emblem Warriors. Samurai Warriors was my jam before any of these had a dream of being one of those titles. I love these games. And so I'm really excited to hear more.
I am too. The only problem that I have with it right now is it's not online co-op. It's going to be local co-op only at this point.
They need to change that. They really need to change
frustrating, but we'll have to make do. So
yeah, they need to change that now. And that's one of those things where it's just Nintendo does these amazing announcements and then it's just but why'd you forget this thing? And it's almost always online play.
I can't believe they missed that out. Because that was one of the best parts of. I mean, Brody and I, when we were roommates, we played that on our Wii U's all the time, and it was always really funny because we would have this super elaborate setup to play together to make it work. So just crazy. Hopefully they'll fix that, or
surely they will
figure it out.
They're gonna have to.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Chortlecast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a couple things you could do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com. You can like this video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. You can also watch the podcast on Facebook. That's at Chortle Games on Facebook. But if you want to catch us on a live stream, you can watch us through Facebook and YouTube, like I just said, or you can watch us on Twitter, which is at Chortle Games on Twitter, or on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Chortle_games. So that's where you can find us. You can also keep up with us in our Discord, which you can get to in the description of this video. We do all sorts of stuff. We talk, we hang out, we post memes. We let you know what we're live streaming. We let you vote on what we're live streaming sometimes. And we have a good time together. Where else do I normally go here? I guess that's it. Anyway,
the schedule for the week, if we have one.
That's where I'm going. The podcast airs normally every Monday, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time, unless I have horrible technical issues, which I often do. The plan for this week, normally we live stream on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That is the plan for this week. We will be doing some Marvel's Avengers Thursday night. I may have some plans that I am not aware of Thursday night, so I may be dealing with that. I'm going to do a solo stream Friday, so we'll see when. I'll let you know more about that as I get closer. I'm thinking about maybe doing the Mario 3D All-Star deal that comes out that day. So we'll see. I think it's that one. It's either that or 3D World. No, yeah, it's 3D All Stars. I just have Mario 3D on my calendar, so maybe we'll be doing a little bit of Sunshine. I don't know. We'll just have to see. And then Saturday, Steve and I are going to do some more Marvel's Avengers, especially if we don't get to Thursday. So that is the plan for the week. It's going to be a good time. Steven, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me all your hot takes.
I'm sorry that you were on the receiving end of my heat.
That's all right.
Yeah, I really am fine, guys. Good Lord, I'm looking at my eyes. I look exhausted. It's Sunday. I say that all the time.
I have a really weird thing happening in this eye over here. It's like, ugh. So I don't know. We're going to go get our eyes checked out, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on the live streams later this week. Bye.